What's up, everyone, and welcome to my channel. My name is Deanna Reese Williams, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about how I manage my stress while completing my dissertation. All right, so first off, if you are just now in the beginning of your doctoral journey, or even if you're trying to pursue some sort of big career change or a big project or whatever, stress is inevitable. It will happen. But for those of you that are completing your doctorate, first, I'm going to say, there might be a time in this journey that you probably become overwhelmed, frustrated, and you might just cry. Have I done this myself? Absolutely. But hopefully by sharing my journey and my experience, this will help guide you a little bit more. And again, for those that may not be completing their doctoral journey, maybe you're getting your graduate degree, whatever you're going through, like stress and managing it, it's all very normal. All right, so of course I have my notes here to keep me on track. All right, so my stress management techniques is you have to, honestly, the way that I manage stress is by staying organized. I know, some people are like, what do you mean staying organized? Why would you say that? I don't feel like I'm organized. You're a very organized person. Listen, I find that when tasks become really overwhelming and when I feel overwhelmed in terms of it's such a massive thing for me to complete that it's hard for me to manage the stress. So when I think about when I started writing chapters 1 and 2, I felt pretty overwhelmed when I moved out of what was called my planning course. And so basically I moved out of that course, started meeting with my chair, and she said everything I had did in the previous course, we had to overhaul. I mean, talk about a gut punch. And for the next 9 weeks, after spending 18 weeks basically planning out chapter 1, I had to overhaul the entire thing. Talk about stress, all while meeting with my chair. So the way that I managed that was I basically had to take it apart, and look at each paragraph, each section, one by one to make it more manageable. To me, when it comes to stress, you have to find ways to make it manageable for you. Some people like to have some accountability. Some people like to share their story. Some people like to exercise. Others might want to journal. You might want to have a creative outlet. It just depends on what's your vice in managing stress. For me, I have found keeping myself organized, which is why I use my planners. I keep everything tracked, and that's how I'm able to manage stress. I'm not saying that my method will work for you, but you've got to identify what are things that you do to manage stress. So like I said, for me, I do exercise daily, whether I'm walking, spin bike, crossfitting, I'm doing one of those 3 things, or I've even done dance cardio as well. So whatever it takes to manage it, that's what you need to do. Next, the role of movement and exercise in my routine. Listen, I just mentioned that. So I find having an outlet, like today, I walked for over 35 minutes. I am on day 40 of the challenge, 25 minutes left of movement. So later on tonight, after I'm done with dinner or before dinner, I'm going to lift weights for 25 minutes. That's just what I'm going to do. I might do 15 minutes of lifting and then 10 minutes of on the spin bike just to kind of get the blood flowing and working and stuff. So I find movement really, really helps keeping my stress level down. When I don't do movement and as things are coming to me, it's too much. And did I mention I work full time? I still have a life out of being a doctoral student. So I have things that I have to be able to manage every single day. And when I take that time out, even if it's 10 minutes, it's 10 minutes that's going to help with your stress management. So make sure you are moving your body one way or the other. Next, journaling, mindfulness practices. Yes, I do. So I journal in season, and I like to journal. I wouldn't say it's journaling, it's more like creative writing, or I like to have outlets like being able to do content creation. I find that by being creative, it's also a great way for me to let a lot of stress out. Typically, when I'm not a doctoral student, I'm an indie children's book author. I've created two books, not just one but two. My first book is called Sweet Potato and Mud Pies, and my second book is called Picture Day. And so I find in the winter, I do the bulk of my writing during that time of the year. And then typically in the spring, that's when I start working with my illustrator and editor, and we start kind of piecing the book together, getting beta readers together. And it's just a great way for me to have an outlet. Podcasting is another thing that I do just to kind of, again, creatively getting things out. It just makes a huge difference. So my journaling, like I said, it looks a little bit different because I do it through vlogs. Not that I don't do any handwritten journaling, I do, but normally it's not an everyday thing, and it's something that's very specific. I might like write a prayer in there, or just kind of when things become really overwhelmed, then I'll just like kind of do a word vomit on paper, and that seems to really help out as well. And then mindfulness is something that I just feel like enjoying the quiet of the day. You know, where I reside, I'm in the desert, so I'm able to just take in the mountains, take in the weather, take in the views all the time, and just having that like quietness and peace is what really helps me keep things in line and balanced and being mindful. So, and how do I separate work from personal life? Listen, my favorite thing to do is hobbies. There was a time in my life where work and school was my life. Work, school, and family. That was it. I had no hobbies. If you would have talked to me back in 2015, 16, and before then, I would have looked at you like if someone said, "What's your hobbies? What do you like to do? How do you have work-life balance?" I would have looked at them like, who has work-life balance? That's not real, nor is it realistic. I think that's delusional. Yeah, I can say at 41, I'm not going to say like, oh, my life is perfect and everything is always work-life balance, because it's not. Again, I see things in seasons. There's certain times of the academic year that's going to be super busy for me. I know when students register for school, that's going to be busy. I know when it's the end of the semester, it's going to be busy. When it's the beginning of the semester, it's going to be busy. So I consider months of like August and January blackout months. Don't ask me to do anything because I got to make sure my students are good to go. I would almost say May is kind of one of those months too, give or take, because graduation and stuff. But I think my thing is that you have to know in your work life, if it's predictable enough to figure out when there's seasons of which it's really overwhelming. So when you know that's going to happen, then you plan your life accordingly. So I know like all of my friends or even people that I've contracted with, they know like I'm not going to have any meetings during those months because I'm going to be too busy, too focused, and it's going to stress me out. Now, if you are reaching out to me February, March, April, I'm here for it. June, I'm here for it. I might be traveling though, so, but I'm still here for it. But I just think it's important to be aware of like when things are going to be more busier. And that's the same for your dissertation. Like you have to, there might be things that you really enjoy doing. So let me tell you this, talk about work-life balance between personal and work. I enjoy traveling. I enjoy concerts. I enjoy shows. Like I enjoy all of this stuff. But listen, when this paper became like a real big part of my life a year ago, and I wanted to be done like within a year and a half of like starting the process, I had to kind of do some reevaluating and say, you know what? I can't make it to that concert. I'm going to say Janet Jackson this year. Sorry, I can't just go see 5 or 6 shows. I might be able to see one. Or I can't go hang out with friends, or I can't go do the winery thing because I need to prioritize. So once you figure out what your priorities are, then you start to figure out what are the things that I need to be mindful, to be balanced, and know that like I can have fun and I can also be, like rigorous and focus on what I need to do. I know, like, if I were to be sitting and interviewing my supervisor, she would be like, I don't know how she does it. She's always like busy doing something and enjoying her life. That's because back in 2016, when I was working in social work and working super hard, like 50, 60-hour weeks all the time, then I went into public ed again, same scenario. When I moved into higher education, I was like, you have got to figure this out because this isn't it. I was burning out because I was working all the freaking time. So I'm not going to say that it's always 50-50, but you have to find a way, like, if you're going to work hard, then when are you going to have fun? That fun might be once a month. That fun could be, I went and got my nails done. That fun could be, I went and got myself a haircut. The fun could be like you took a walk or you had a barbecue at your place. Whatever that fun may be for you, or you saved up for a trip. I don't know, but you've got to find a way to be able to make sure that you're taking care of yourself, enjoying your life, and still prioritizing your paper. And if you're working full time, that you're making time to ensure that you're completing the tasks that you need to do in your job. So, all right, 3 questions that I'm going to answer really quickly for you guys. What are the biggest stress? What's your biggest stress triggers? So again, I think my biggest stress triggers is like, so as a planner, I don't care to be blindsided by things. I can be a little rigid. And that's partly because I like structure when it comes to stuff. So when things are really out of like sorts and kind of chaotic, like that honestly stresses me out. The first thing I want to do is I look at the situation and I'm like, okay, how can I organize this to make this more manageable for myself? I found that in this dissertation process or applied doctoral project is that what was really stressful was my approach to researching and revisions and formatting was very different from the guidance and what my chair wanted me to do. My chair wanted me to write, research, format, and revise all at the same time. I'm used to writing, researching. Once you do all of that, then we're going to do revisions. No, I found it very stressful that I was like, I just need to research and write. I feel very overwhelmed because every week, once I do the writing, now I have all this feedback that I have to deal with on top of the fact that I still need to write. I found that to be extremely stressful and extremely overwhelming until I figured out a format for myself and to make it more manageable, which I've shared before. I'll share it here. So I meet with my chair on Thursday. That night, that meant that I was going to look at all of the comments, look at all the revisions, and start revising that night. So I'd revise Thursday, Friday, sometimes into Saturday. Sunday would be research and writing. Monday was research and writing. Tuesday was implementing any research writing and then formatting. Wednesday was double checking everything, submitting it to her. That was my process to avoid feeling stressed and overwhelmed. How do I reset after a stressful day? Listen, I push pause. Like I'm not afraid to take a personal day if I need to. I'm not afraid to take a break. And I'm not afraid to tell people like, you might need a break. Because I wish somebody would have said that to me years ago when I was like young and working and just giving everything I had to everyone else and nothing for myself. I wish somebody would have said, Deanna, just take a break. It's okay. The job will be here. Your paper will be here. Everything will be here. Not saying like, okay, take like a 2-year break, but like you have to have built-in breaks. If you don't do that in this process, you will feel overwhelmed. Here's the thing. You don't want to be forced into taking a break because you are so stressed out and so burnt out. I have lived experience of that, not once, but twice, a couple of times. So after a stressful day, I will just sit back and I will reflect. Sometimes it's like I'm not doing anything. I'm not doom scrolling. I'm not watching TV. I'm just kind of like, I just need to rest and do nothing. And sometimes doing the nothing, the answers will come out of that. Like you'll figure out what you need to do and how you need to pivot. And that's how I manage stressful days. And I may look at my calendar and say, okay, what do I have going on where it's not work related, it's not dissertation related, it just is me doing something that I enjoy doing. How far out is that next, event that I plan to go to? Oh, it's in another month. Then I might need to consider doing something different this weekend. What are some events that are happening locally in my area that I can engage in and enjoy and have fun? That's what I would recommend. So that's how I handle stressful days. They don't have to happen often, but when they do, that's what I end up doing. Just shut it all down. And then lastly, what is my favorite self-care practices? Oh, favorite self-care practices. Man, I mean, speaking of self-care, I don't know if you all do any kind of monthly massages, but again, I have stories for days of like burnout. But I started doing sports medicine massages in spring of 2018, and I have continued to do them ever since then. I never really understood like why do people get a massage every month? That's so ridiculous. That's what I thought naively until now. The older I get, the more I value the importance of just like being able to relax, being able to sleep. I also have gotten to the point when I want to get my nails done. I love a good nail shop, but I also have been very intentional about finding those nail stylists or nail techs that have their own independent shop, and it's just you and that person, because it's like it's quiet, it's not stressful, but just finding those quiet, peaceful spaces seem to really help me quite a bit. Another favorite practice, super easy, doesn't cost me a thing, walking. Literally walking out of my home and walking down the street. That's some of the best self-care I can give myself. I can do that every day. Just getting out of your space, out of your workspace, your home space, whatever, and just being in the elements. If you can't walk out of your home and you need to go hike or figure out a way to do that. But connecting with nature it always like fuels my soul in so many different ways. All right, guys, this is all I have for today's video. I hope hearing about how I manage stress and how to like keep it low, I hope it's been very helpful for you all. I'll catch you on the next video. Have a good day, have a good night, and have a good morning. Goodbye.